Yoink!
Hello and greetings and welcome to the Unofficial PopCap PopCast, a podcast about the golden age of PopCap games from two guys who were there at the time. I'm Steve Notley.
And I'm Isaac Aubrey. And we'd like to emphasize the unofficial aspect of this. We do not represent PopCap or PopCap under AEA in any way. We're just here talking about our time working at that old company that sold long ago. And we have a couple guests with us. We're four guys that used to work in the trenches at PopCap today, podcasting wildly about the wonderful times at PopCap Games. We have Matt Holmberg, who was a great artist on many games there and has done many things since then. Look him up. We'll share links.
And
to
if
Matt's
any of you have heard our previous Pig Up episode, of course, you heard Matt's name drop many times during that episode.
Yeah, yeah. And we've got Rich Werner, the artist most famously known for working on the characters of PVZ, creating all of those. But he has also done many things before and since, and we're gonna talk about all of it. So, do you want to start it off, Steve?
Sure. I guess I'll ask both of you guys. We were talking about before we started is like uh a couple of like video games that you really remember from your youth, just to kick off like the whole video games as influential thing.
Go ahead, Matt.
Oh man, it's funny. The first one that comes to mind is RC Pro-Am randomly.
So good, like in
yeah,
a 7-Eleven or arcade or something.
That was rare, which still continues on. Recently made a Sea of Thieves randomly, which seems unbelievable. And I wonder kind of if there's any kind of DNA from old Rare to now, because they got bought by Microsoft, and I have no idea. But anyway, that one comes to mind. I think
So what to describe that game? What did it look like?
it was a isometric RC car racing game, and very, very, very challenging.
Was it
really-
like with
Is
an
that the
actual
one that had-
steering wheel as a controller, like an arcade game, right?
Oh, it is. No, I'm thinking I played it on a NES. I don't know if
okay,
it was
okay.
ever on. It's very much like Mickey Thompson's off-road racing that was a four-player with the wheel.
That's what I was thinking of. That's
and
what I was
as
thinking.
far as the graphics,
Dude, that's what I'm thinking about. Yeah.
And the cores are like very much the same vein, except for that one's a lot bigger and it's not as zoomed in. RC Pro was very hard to play because it was so zoomed in. Definitely,
We'll be able to grab screenshots and throw it in here as well.
Oh man,
That's a
RC
nice
Pro
thing.
is a beauty.
Keep going, keep going.
Did that your love of that game inspire your love of building those
RC cars,
RC cars?
absolutely, 100%.
Oh, dude, yeah, because that's what you do, right?
Yeah.
Well, so
toy
let's
cars are just fun.
let's kind of go back and forth. Like, so Matt, you had one. Rich, what's one of yours? And then we'll just go back and forth between you guys a couple times. Just
Oh, that's fine. Yeah. To be honest with you, like, as far as games that inspired me as like someone who wanted to
or just even ones
do
that
that-
you loved
to
and
do
played
art?
a ton as a kid.
Oh, well, I will say, well, I'll just say like the one game that inspired me the most as far as like just art, looking at it and being like, this is awesome, was Earthworm Jim, to be honest.
Yeah, we were talking about that
Right,
before.
yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, we were talking about that earlier, but like that game was like blew my mind just because I just loved the reactions of the character and the way that they moved. And that was the first time I ever saw a game that had idles. Like if you left the character alone for a while, he would start doing stuff. And you're like, what?
Right,
Like
yeah.
This is
they
gonna keep
added
happening
that.
because I'm not sure if we caught this from our the last time we recorded this, but like I think I'd like to mention about that was the attention to the small things, like that idle animation added so much depth to the feel. And like that was the thing that PopCap did really well was instead of, well, the guy can just stand there, he's not doing anything. It's like, yeah, but what if he burped, or like what if he like did a little shuffle, or if this little thing made a
Checks
funny
his
noise
watch,
or something.
yeah.
yeah.
That
I'm not
was so
sure
rad,
what-
dude.
yeah.
But like
Very cool.
my all-time favorite game though is Miss Pac-Man.
Yeah, man, we had some battles on.
Yeah,
It
we
was
battled
this
at
Pac-Man, but
PopCap.
it
We
was
battled.
Pac-Man.
We played regular Pac-Man though,
regular
but yeah,
Pac-Man. Yeah, and Rich did ultimately get the high score, which I never was able to defeat. I held it
out
for
of all of
longer, I think.
PopCap.
Man, we used to have some battles.
Master.
We used to have some battles.
Now, would that
Yeah.
have been on the MAME cabinet?
Yeah, it was on
or-
the main cabinet. Yeah. But
So
I mean,
for our listeners, one of the highlights of working at PopCap was the fun room, and so of course we had like a TV and basically every kind of console that you could have.
Foosball.
but also like a special, I think actually boutique sort of thing that had a MAME cabinet that is like
Multiple
a desktop
arcade
computer with all of
emulation.
the old arcade games that you could basically just play. So any arcade game that you grew up playing, you could just play for free forever on this arcade thing that we
Yeah.
had in
It was
the fun
built
room.
by
So
Hans and Dave Haas, I think, and
there we
then
go.
Hans
Yeah.
always kind of maintained it because those old screens always needed like tuning and
I didn't
tweaking and
realize that
stuff.
those guys built that. That's crazy. Right on.
Yeah, it was like
Oh,
a garagey thing to do back then because you get the board for it or the ROMs for it, and then you just have to get an old kind of cabinet and
It
rehouse
looked
it
like the
up.
kind of thing that there would have been like kind of a kit for, but
Yeah, it was,
Mhm.
yeah.
yeah,
Well, like, yeah, MAME was like it's multiple arcade machine emulation.
that sounds
I can't
awesome.
remember
Wow.
what the
Yeah,
second
that
M
sounds.
was, but
that
yeah,
sounds legitimate.
I'd buy it.
I'm gonna get clowned out in the comments.
I know they're all. You're an idiot.
Worked in the industry for 40 years and still don't even know what the fuck MAME means.
Like the even crazier thing about that though is like, I mean, not that I'm all bragging like, oh yeah, I'm the best Pac-Man player, but who I can't remember his name now, but the Robotron,
Oh my God, the
Yeah.
Oh
Robotron
yeah,
battles were
yeah.
insane. We had an actual
Those were the
Robotron
And
machine.
battles,
Andy
dude.
and it was Ace was also in there. I remember Andy was
Oh,
one.
Ace,
Andy had
Puro,
like
and
the
Vici.
old, yeah, Andy had the all-time high, right? Like he just like
Yep.
crushed that game.
And if you watch
So-
someone who's really good play Robotron, you feel like it just isn't possible. You're
Yeah.
watching
know.
something impossible happen.
It's
And-
like watching a
insane.
campfire or the water of a running brook. It's just
Yeah, he's
like beyond thought.
It's just not
But you know-
possible, but there it is. It's happening, and it happened
Yeah.
every lunch break. They'd be in there like battling it out for it seemed like a year or more. It was just insane.
You know the thing that
Yeah.
that game did really well, that PopCap games did very well, was like player feedback. Like I think Peggle, a lot of times people it's described like why it was so successful was it felt so good. The game felt good, like when
Yeah.
the bounces worked right, when the sounds when it made the tink 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 tink. That was just like, and then Oda
the
Joy would
juice.
play. Yeah, it was that. And Robotron was like the opposite. It had like that kind of like shepherd tone, like stress building, like anxiety.
Yeah,
tornado.
just getting intense.
And then when it start up, everything like, dude. Yeah, that game
And
was
then- but then
so
you-
stressful, man.
If you got so high though, and then you started the game over again, you're all so boring.
Right, yeah,
like
yeah.
it's like so slow because your mind is like so wrecked.
Speaking
from-
of stressful arcade games on that main machine in there, it makes me think of Sinistar.
dude,
Sinistar,
that-
terrifying.
Sinistar.
that is terrifying. Actually,
Yeah, that scared me when I was a kid. I was like,
Me
I don't
too.
want to play that game.
I was gonna
if
say,
you knew
yeah,
that guy was
Steve-
coming, you're like, I'm
Steve
dead.
had breakfast with Sinistar one time. He made a whole book about it.
Wait, what?
What's this?
Oh, that's what he did. He did.
I mean, I
Yes.
Steve, yes, I forgot about that.
cover one of my books, so
That's why I mentioned it.
Hell yeah, dude.
a big
Intentional plug.
influence.
Anyway, back to video
Coffee
games.
Sorry.
Obviously we talked about before, like any kind of JRPGs. Chrono Trigger was definitely my biggest one. That was the thing that made me want to be an artist for sure.
Which
Mhm.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah.
when we last talked, I was sort of surprised to learn that that was one of the games you actually worked on in sort of your early career. So
Yeah.
this is the not so subtle segue into
Yeah, into like
let's
yeah.
sort of walk. We'll do you first, and then we'll go over to you, Rich. Is just kind of like walk us from not being in the video game business to being in it in some capacity.
Okay, so yeah, everybody's already heard my dumb stories a million times, but
I love it.
growing up in Redmond is where Nintendo was based, and that's also a very fun story I could tell another time. But I like playing Nintendo games. My mom realized that Nintendo was in Redmond, so she just called them up, and they were like, "Hey, my kids are in this. Is there anything there for kids to do?" And they're like, yeah, "Actually, we do have focus group testing." So they would have kids come in and play test games that weren't released yet in this kind of Stranger Things kind of office with like one-way mirrors, and you would be observed playing games. And I was like 9 or 10 doing that. And that was the very first exposure to playing video or to being in games. And that turned into then ultimately ended up working with Squaresoft USA. It was also in Redmond again, like when I was like 13 or 14, like really, really young, but it was kind of under the table. Weirdly, the
Doing
CEO
what?
there at the time, it was that was translation testing. So they had gotten, from my understanding, is they'd gotten a list of kids that were actually, invested in giving good feedback from those hordes of people that were coming into Nintendo. and some of them ended up at Square USA, and that
Well,
was
so like describe like what you would actually do in that job. I don't know what that
so
is.
translation testing was pretty simple. It was like we've already got this is Chrono Trigger. It's already translated by the guys there, Ted Woolsey and those dudes, and basically just check and make sure the text, keeps track of your name, where you if you change your name, like if it's right all the time, like any kind of like tenses and stuff, depending on game state, like if people say like before or after kind of things, like just basically testing, except for instead of just testing the game for fun, you're just testing it just for translation, which was
So just like reading all of the
Oh,
English
dude.
text in the game and making sure that it
and trying to
sounds
break
like
it.
English
Yeah,
text rather
yeah,
than
100%.
Oh,
garbled
wow.
translation.
I
That's
swear that's the
okay.
kind of stuff you can only do as a young person getting into the industry because
Well,
by the time you're like, a little older, you're just like, oh my God, this is horrible.
Yeah,
it's
no
true. Like
kidding.
like endless. Also, Isaac, the person I met there was Conan Chamberlain. He'd already
Oh,
been there,
nice.
so I knew Conan from Square USA all the way back then, and he was kind of he was like the top dog playtester dude there. I got a lot of
Super
funny
good.
Conan
Yeah.
stories from Square
So this
USA.
is
He's
But
so
the,
this
anyway,
is the early. So this is like when you were a kid. You said,
93 or so, yeah. I
and
was like
how old
13 or
would you have
14,
been?
13 or
13 to
14.
14,
Yeah.
doing translation testing for Square Enix.
And
That's crazy,
then
bro.
then it went into Secret of Evermore, which is a game that they were actually developing there. Weird trivia bit. The only other game that they developed in America, as far as Square was concerned, was Rad Racer. Kind of a weird one. People
I
think
remember
about.
that one.
Yeah. That was made in good old Redmond.
Red Racer.
awesome.
But yeah, Secret of Evermore, which I thought was great. It was kind of mislabeled as a sequel to Secret of Mana, but it used the same engine with the same kind of menu thing, and it had the secret in the name, so it makes sense that people were kind of confused, but they weren't happy. They didn't think it was nearly up to its predecessor's, grandeur. But I think they were totally wrong. Daniel Dochi was the lead artist and the art director there then, and I think that the art in Secret of Evermore is amazing. And Jeremy Sewell was the composer, and he went on to become a very famous video game composer. You can look all up.
So we're gonna come back to you, Matt, to go forward from there. But I want to hear a little bit now from Rich about like from not in games to being in games. Like, what was that, process for you?
Well, for me, so I wasn't as lucky as Matt is, I guess, as far as like being able to work in
Who is?
games at such an early age. But well, I actually never even thought I was going to work in video games, to be honest. I
Well, right.
wanted to be an animator and I wanted to work on cartoons. That was what I wanted to do. But yeah, so my early career, I mean, I was always drawn my whole life, but then when I was about to go to junior high, I applied for a junior high that accepted people that were into art, the arts. It was an arts based school basically. They focused on like dance and art and film and all that stuff. And so like I had to submit a portfolio and I got accepted. And so I went to a special special. It was still a regular school, but I mean,
The bus
like
was
once I got
regular
there, I
length.
realized it wasn't that awesome. It was just, it was whatever. But they did focus on art, so it was kind of cool. So I went. That was what I did with junior high and high school, both. Before I went to actual art school. So I mean, that's my, I wasn't even thinking about video games at that time. Like that just
Okay.
kind of.
So you're just sort of developing like as a you're in school like elementary and high school or whatever, and then second post secondary, I guess, like you went from high school to like art school, but it was like art, that's
Yeah, it was always art.
animation
Yeah.
in particular, right?
Yeah, and
So
animation
okay,
was the
well,
thing I
so then
loved.
keep going. Like from there, what happened?
And then no, no. So yeah, so once I went to art school and I went to art school and then I was real ass and I kind of bailed out a bunch of times and because that's what you do, right? Like I mean I went straight there right after high school. I didn't take any break, nothing. I just went right into it. I don't think I was ready for it. So I did that and then I left and then eventually like 3 or 4 years after I left art school, I found myself working in a propane yard, uh, drawing comics outside in the elements. And I was my not wife yet. Well, no, were we married yet? I can't remember if I was married yet.
You got married just before we started Interactive, I thought.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right. So I wasn't even married yet. So my girlfriend then, I guess at the time, was like, what are you doing? Like, you should probably finish art school. And I only had one class left.
Come on, man.
I know, it's so stupid. It's the dumbest story ever, dude. Like, all it was for my portfolio class. It's so stupid.
But I mean, in defense of that though, like I did a lot of portfolio reviews of kids coming out of Art Institute, and portfolio class is like what, like 40% of the fucking struggle of getting out of there.
Oh no, for sure. Yeah, because I mean, I teach portfolio class right now, so it's like,
Yes, yeah.
I know, like, and I was like, man, all I had to do was just finish something, you know. So, so I did that.
Is that the cutoff? Is just like if a student could just like actually submit something, no matter how terrible, they get like a check mark. But if they can't,
dude, he's doing portfolio reviews now, and I used to go and look.
I'm not going to tell you that.
A lot of the portfolios you see of the graduates are, not great.
I mean,
but there's a
It's a long time to build up good stuff.
Yeah, it really does. Like, that's the thing. When you get graduated from art school, your portfolio is going to be shit no matter what. I mean, it's just not going to. It's not going to be a professional portfolio because you're just getting out. You know, you're just starting. It's like, but at least you get the base, right? You know,
right. But I just want to say, but it's still different from just not having a portfolio at all, right?
Well, yeah, not having one at all. It's like
even finishing the assignment.
Exactly. You're not doing anything, right? So, I mean, at least have something. So, but it worked because I did that. And then, you know, it was maybe a month and a half later or something like that. I went and applied at Interactive Imagination, which is where Matt worked, and Matt started that company. He interviewed me.
Now, so let's back up then, Matt. What's Interactive Imagination?
So that was after I'd worked at Square, I'd met a bunch of guys, and we'd always said, we were kids, we were like, hey man, if we ever get a job in video games, we got to call each other, you know, we got to charge the breach and make a thing, like bros forever, right? Okay, cool. So like years pass, and I come back from my awesome job at UPS, and I've got a voice. What do they call them? A phone message, a voice recording. When you didn't catch your phone, people would record a message for you in the 90s, and I had one of those from my uncle.
Oh yeah,
and, he was like, oh yeah, I'm working with this guy on this job site, and his brother is starting a video game company, and they work at Nintendo. And I said that you're an artist anyway. Here's his number, and I called him up. It was like, I don't know, like 9 or 10 at night, and the dude lived like 4 or 5 blocks away from me. So I got all the art that I had recently. Because at that point, I was getting better like rapidly. I didn't do any art in my junior high years at all. I just basically started, so my new stuff was hot. And I put it in a hefty bag, so it was like protected from the rain.
A hefty bag,
yeah. And I slung it over my shoulder, and I got on my chrome Diamondback BMX bike with the lamb's wool seat cover. Awesome, and I drove it over to Greg's house. I'll talk about that before or later with you, Rich. You can appreciate.
I was gonna say, what the hell, dude?
And they were like, "Oh yeah, we're working at Nintendo, and we want to make a game kind of like Pokemon." This is our thought. We're gonna call it Magi Nation because it's gonna be like a play on imagination. Okay, cool. Like, what do you got? And I showed him the stuff, and Greg was like hype, like right off the bat. He's like, yes, this is it. Let's do it. And Phil was like, yeah, this is cool. Let's go. Let's quit our jobs tomorrow and like start a game company. And I'm like, dude, my parents just moved away like less than a year ago. I'm 18. I got rent. I don't think I should be quitting my job. That didn't seem like a cool thing to be doing. But if you guys are going to quit your Nintendo producer jobs, let's fucking go. I mean, what's the worst that can happen? And I did that. And then first thing I did was went through the phone book trying to find my old buddies. And old Josh Lytle, I remembered his name, but I didn't know his phone number or anything. And I went down the phone book, got a old Yellow Pages out.
The actual phone book.
And I went to the L's and I found Lytle, and I started calling Lytles. Doot, 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 doot. And I finally got down. Every time I was like, is Joshua live there? And they're like, no. Finally, I got one. Oh, hello. And I'm like, Josh, what the fuck's happening, man? This is Matt. We used to work together at Squaresoft. You need to quit whatever you're doing and come make a video game with me. And they did that. And that was Josh and Hido. And then I called Mike up. He came up from California, and started.
But no. So wait, maybe I don't know, because I always thought Magi Nation is and was a card game. So
it was. So that was the thing about it. It was totally meant to be like a fast follow after Pokemon. And they had this whole concept at that point was all about cross marketing. What you wanted to do was get your property in multiple kind of spaces, and then when people would see it, like, oh, I saw a cartoon that said Pokemon, and then I saw a card game at the game store that said Pokemon, and then I saw a video game, and then it was like, oh my God, this is a thing. Once you've seen it a second or third time, you kind of feel like you're missing out. And that was the thing. Cross marketing was the deal back then. So we started it as a card game, but we already intended to definitely do a video game. And we're gonna make a Game Boy Color game, which we actually did.
Oh God, that was rough.
There is a. You didn't make that, or you did?
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
Oh, you did.
Yeah,
oh,
yeah,
nice,
yeah,
nice.
Yeah.
Dude, we've got. Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, just in that weirdly small world. So I'd gone through the phone and found Josh and Hayato, and then like later, the CEO from Square USA they got a hold of, and he became the CEO of Interactive. So it was like a very small. I think we talked about this last time. It was like incestuous is the word we used to use. Like everybody knows everybody within a degree or two. Like that's kind of the deal.
So okay, so that was the the interactive imagination that Rich came to be a part of. Then.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So me and my noob friends in a crappy office in Pioneer Square.
How long did that project go on? How long were you all
From
there?
like 98 or 9 until like 04.
Oh, so that was a big long stretch.
Oh,
then.
we made a lot of stuff. We really did, and we
Yeah,
did
it
all
went for a
kinds of
while.
conventions and employed all kinds of people, and a lot of us learned a lot.
I mean, I learned a lot at
Good or
that place.
bad.
Seriously.
Yeah, we learned a lot from our successes and even more from our failures, I think. Or
Yeah,
other
no
people's
shit.
failures.
Yeah.
And Photoshop changed a lot over those years too. I'll bet you had to follow that
Jesus,
along.
Man, my first.
I learned
intro tablet
Photoshop
there-
working there.
Absolutely, yeah, 100%. I didn't know how to use Windows when I started, and I graduated Redmond High School. So in 1997, I didn't know how to use Windows. So just check that out.
Dude, when I first started working there and I had to set up my computer and I didn't have a computer at my house at all, so I wasn't sure what the hell I was doing. And I remember going like, what was it? Dylan was like, yeah, just make a folder and put that in. I'm like, what's a folder?
Yeah, sure.
And he was all, what? Like he was like so
like
like
a manila
irritated.
folder.
Yeah,
He was like so annoyed, like, oh my God, you don't know how to do that. I'm like, no.
dude, we were total fucking noobs, like real bad. I still am,
What's a
but I was
folder?
even worse then. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so then like the next part of the story I sort of want to hear about is like how you made your way, Matt, from interactive to Sprout.
So after Interactive closed down, the whole party stopped. And I kept working there for a minute, doing basically nothing, and just waiting for the doors to close. And then it did. And then I was cast adrift, and I had no idea kind of what I was going to do. That was my first ever game job or art job, and I wasn't even sure if I was really qualified. I get imposter syndrome. I was like, maybe that was a fluke. Maybe I'm shot. I don't know. I'm going down. We talked about this before, the IGDA list, the International Game Developer Association.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think they still do, but they had an amazing comprehensive list of like, these are all the game companies. And they happened to all be in Seattle then. I don't know if it was started here or that was just where all game companies were. Anyway, I got all the way to the S's before I got 2 hits in the same day, Sprout and Sucker Punch games. And Sucker Punch guys were making really, really cool stuff. And then I was going to try to be an environment artist there. And they're like, oh, yeah, well, call us back tomorrow. We'll set up an art test and you come down and meet the people. Like that was in Kirkland, I think, still. I'm like, yeah, that'd be cool. That'd be cool. Cool. And then I talked to Sprout and dude was like, I'll give you $4,000 right now to finish a video game. Like right now. I was like, yeah, I'll take it. Let's go. And then did Sprout for a while.
Like who's Sprout?
That was they were. Oh, God dang it! I can't.
So let me interrupt for a second and kind of go like so because I always saw from the PopCap perspective, Sprout was like sort of a mini me PopCap because like PopCap was this 3 founders, Jason, Brian, and John, who sort of respectively were like the design, the code, and the sort of business / marketing.
Yeah, and producing, yeah.
And then Sprout was sort of essentially kind of doing the same thing as PopCap was, except this time you had Ed Allard design, I guess Joe Mobley kind of holding down the code end, and then James Schwartzman as sort of business marketing.
Yeah,
so kind of like a smaller version
and
of
they had come
PopCap.
from a place called Escape Factory, and that was God, I don't know what years that ran for, but really cool. They had a really cool logo and made some really cool stuff. Didn't really work out, but then they went on to become Sprout, and they were a very small operation. Like they were running out of the front end of a storage unit
But they
my
were big
God.
enough
Yeah,
to get
yeah.
like in the same way that like back in our episode 2 where we talked about how PopCap got bought by EA, Sprout got bought by PopCap,
That was the thing.
right?
So like when I showed up, like they had a contract with Real. So Real Arcade at that point was the portal for casual games. If you were playing casual games, you went to Real Arcade, and that was the leaderboard of like who were the biggest on there. That was where it all was going through. Casual games was all going through Real Arcade at that moment, and they had a contract to make 3 games with them, and they were way behind on it. They had an artist that flaked. By the time I showed up, they were
An artist that flaked.
can
Do
you believe
artists
it? Then it wasn't me.
flaking?
Yeah,
You
right.
shut your mouth.
Yeah, no. It was like the 11th hour, and they were like, "Hey, can we like knock this out?" And I was at that point in my life, I was a crazy person. I just lived to work, and I'm like, "Yeah, no, totally. We totally did. We dropped those 3 games out real fast."
What were they?
And gosh, I think one of them was already nearly done. Was Color Harmony or something, and then
I
we
remember
did Feeding
testing
Frenzy,
versions of that. Yeah.
Feeding Frenzy 2, Eagle Pop, and Pizza Frenzy. And then when we got bought by PopCap, it was just moving on to Talismania. So it was on
Right.
like my 4th one. Or
I felt
whatever,
like Pizza Frenzy was the most Holmbergian game.
Oh,
no,
because
totally.
that was
back,
that
and I'm
was
like,
100%.
that is Matt.
yeah, like
Yeah, 100% that
out
was.
of just drawing for myself for a long time. So like when they got a hold of me, it was like at my most raw. I hadn't been drawing for other people for a while. It didn't take long to get into the thing, but yeah, it was super super cool. But we made a big splash. The games were better than anybody except for PopCaps, and we made 3 of them in like 9 months. So we got this
That's so
award for
fast.
being the
It's insane.
highest
Yeah.
grossing third-party developer for it. And then PopCap was like, well, we're looking to expand. Let's just buy those guys wholesale. So, yeah.
After working with Ed, I worked with him. Matt and I worked with him for the audience at a little company working on a game called Space Otter Charlie not that long ago. And he's a
Oh, yeah.
powerhouse coder. He's insanely good.
He's a powerhouse coder, and also
Yeah.
he's just a crazy person in general. If anybody's here is old enough to remember TiVo, remember the buck buck sound that TiVo made? Like he was a sound engineer on that. Like that was Ed Allard's own creation.
It
And
was?
yeah, and his
Yep.
brother was
What? I didn't
head
know
of
that.
Xbox for a long time, and they went on. They did a bunch of really crazy stuff. That's one thing I'll say about Sprout. Between James, Joe, and Ed, they were each just like polymath dynamos. Like each of them could
Super
code.
good.
They were all good at game design. They were just yeah, they were down to party. They really were like, let's make some cool stuff real fast. Like let's go. Yeah, that was a really lucky break at the time. It's funny. I probably would have ended up at PopCap anyway because Sucker Punch, the other company that I mentioned, actually did end up not getting bought by PopCap, but they basically hired on their whole.
I
dev
hired
team.
like a ton
Yeah.
of the people
Right,
from there
yeah.
all at once.
So both of my that fork in the road would have ended at the same place probably.
Right.
Yeah, Sucker
Right.
Punch brought Dev and Karen and
Yeah.
Gene.
Gene. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Gene, too,
Derek,
yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which is such a weird thing because I kind of knew those people also from when I was in art school, and so like it's
That's
just
what
a
I'm
weird
saying.
It's
incestual.
the
like,
perfect like
back then,
example of
almost
just
everyone
how
knew everything.
incestuous the
Yeah.
games industry is up here.
Yeah.
Matt mentioned our friend Conan Chamberlain earlier. I worked with him at EA in 2000. And then it's just weird
Man.
whenever you get in a studio and you start talking to the people around you, you're like, oh yeah, I know that person. I know, oh yeah, and after a while you realize they all know the same.
Well, especially
people.
because really like the system kind of made that happen too. But like the cool people would keep going, and it was like condensing. Like the cooler people kept meeting cooler people and getting cooler, and there was definitely
Yeah.
people that were uncool, shit heels around. But I remember
they
hearing
didn't
stories
go
of
too
people-
far.
No, exactly. I remember hearing stories of people going out and applying it like Amaze or Kryptonite or Black Sail. I think was there. There was like
Oh,
5
that's right. There
studios
was
out of
the
there.
Black Sail was another one. Yeah, I think,
and
yeah.
a person I'd worked with walked in there that other people knew, and 2 people in the interview room when the buddy walked in, they were like, "Oh fuck, this guy." you couldn't escape.
You
know?
again.
Yeah, it's like farting in a tent. It's like Jesus, man, fuck, what are you doing over here?
That's awesome, dude. Yeah, I actually took a comic book class at the Art Institute taught by Dev Madan.
Wow. Okay. Well, so Yeah. So then, Matt, let's get you sort of in through the doors to PopCap. Like, what was that situation? How did you
Wow.
go from where before PopCap to PopCap?
So they bought Sprout and they were like, okay, bye, Matt. And I thought that was kind of the end of the road. I was going to go back to
Bye.
IGDA because they said that they weren't looking for other artists or whatever. But they pitched me successfully, and they were like, you can get an interview. So I went in for an interview. I smoked the largest joint I'd ever smoked in my life before I went in, and I remember just being so wowed because we kind of didn't like idolize, but respected at the utmost PopCap games in that area. Like they were making the coolest stuff. So I knew everybody in this building was like the real deal. And then I wanted the job real bad, obviously, because I was enjoying casual games very much. I don't know if much of you guys talked about this about the PopCap thing. Is casual games. I mean, you could find, especially as an artist, you could find yourself drawing a cruise ship and a wiener dog. Wiener dog.
Well,
Where did you get
A
that
lot of other
idea?
ones where it's like, can you draw a space cruiser? Can you draw a ninja? Can you draw a really hot babe? It's like, oh, you're awesome. I love drawing those things. But all of a sudden, it's like, can you draw, pineapple pizza topping? And you're like, wow, that's fucking weird. I don't know. And I really enjoyed it. It was a totally new thing. So anyway, I was stoked about being a casual game. So went in there and interviewed well. I had one small consciousness train bobble there. I was a little too smoked up, but I landed the plane and made a lot of friends and made an awesome check out of the deal. I got points on those other games because getting paid so little. James was like, "Well, I'll give you a percentage on the sales."
ooh.
I don't know what that ever would have amounted to because PopCap was like, "We don't do back end points." If
Oh
you
man,
know,
yeah,
pay up
that's
front.
right.
And that's why I
Yeah.
asked James like, "Well, what are they worth?" And he's like, "I don't know, like 10 to 15K." So I went in there and I said 11, and Dave Haas just wrote the check that's that fast.
Wow.
Oh fuck! I should have asked for
I,
like
I
21 or something. But
I know,
anyway,
right? You're
I
like,
have
"Screw
I
it."
have this I have this memory, and I'm wondering if this is the first time like you had just started the in at PopCap, and we all hung out, and I think it was that we had a Chuzzle release party out on the beach, and Steve would remember because he was playing some serious well, whatever the ball game was we were playing there, and but I think that was the first time I met you, Matt. I think it was at that beach party. Is that right?
I think the first time we met was at I know that the first time we met was at the pizza party on a Friday.
Oh,
When
okay,
when we
okay.
first got there, every Friday there was like a little pizza party in one little room by the studio, and that was where I remember first meeting. Yeah, you and Steve were the people that I remember the most. But
It was right
yeah,
in the
we
middle of
we
And
2005, right?
yeah, right in the
yeah,
middle of
because
2005. But not too long after that, we did, and it was Golden Gardens, and that was where I
Hmm.
remember meeting Jeff Weinstein because he
Yeah.
was like the most like persnickety person about food. He just like he's so food averse, and he got like something, he got like a burger or something, and he like had cheese on it, which is just
My wife
not
Sarah
acceptable.
laughs about
And
that
he and
too.
he and he picked it up and he goes, "What the shit is this?" That was exactly what he said, and I was like, "What is this guy's fucking problem?"
We,
Like, what the shit? What is even lying? Like, anyway,
Oh,
he was a legend back then, and yeah, we sat next to him for dinner at a Christmas party, and he would not let his peas touch like his
oh,
potatoes or something like
so
that.
good,
And
so
and
good.
Sarah's just like, what's the problem? Like what?
that
It was
was the thing
great. It was
about the
great.
PopCap is all these sort of oddball characters. Well, I want to jump back to you, Rich, because like Matt, you've been saying how it's like, oh, casual games are fun. You get to work on all these cool things, but there's a sort of a dark side of the video game business where maybe you're working on things that aren't so fun.
Right.
Is
oh
that
yeah,
so,
that's
Rich?
true.
So,
So
As
like,
it
what was
turns
some of
out,
the stuff you were doing?
yeah, so what I did, which wasn't as cool. No, so I when I got let go from interacting with Matt, I was unemployed for a little while. I was doing some odd jobs here and there, just stupid art jobs and collecting unemployment. Then I I got hired at Amaze Entertainment, which and in their subset they had subset little studios inside there, and I got hired on the Kryptonite studio, which was their handheld division that made nothing but licensed games for like for the let's see the I think I did Nintendo DS
GBA.
and GBA also. Yeah,
Yeah,
both
that
of
little
was
those.
handheld
Yeah.
yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, some old stuff, right? And so like I got hired on doing that, but everything was licensed. So um yeah, so I'm looking at my wall because I have like stupid plaques. But let's see, I did Harry Potter, robots, The movie, the robots movie, like everybody knows that.
Oh yeah.
I remember it.
I mean, it's what it is. Lemony Snicket and Shrek Super Slam. That one was the best one. I love that
the
one.
Robin Williams one?
Yeah. He played that red robot with the long head.
Yeah. I like that movie.
It's not bad, but I don't know. So I was anyway, but these are churn and burn games, right? Like it's like you had to make these things like in 6 months.
Dude.
You had to haul ass and just like it's good. It's whatever. It works. Like just put it out, So I did that for a long time, and then weirdly enough, they didn't want to pay me a lot, so I started looking for work because I was like, this is not cool. I wasn't getting paid even nearly as much as I was getting paid at Interactive with you, and I was like, man, I was getting paid less. I was like, damn, this sucks.
That's
and at that point, I was married and I had a daughter, and I was like, oh my god, this sucks, dude. So I ended up getting a job at McGraw Hill making that was the most soulless company I've ever worked in. You had to wear slacks and a button-up shirt every day to work. And I worked in a cubicle that looked like it was from the 70s. It was like all like just gnarly, dude. And like it was dead silent there. And I had to go. I worked there, and I worked on these kids games that were way less than what I was doing at Amaze. I mean, the quality was way down. The technology was way down. It was horrible. But they did have a subset in there that was working on Flash stuff, and that's kind of how I learned a little bit about how Flash worked, because I was like, ooh, animation, right? So I kind of learned a little bit about that. I lasted there for like 6 months until Matt called me from getting a job at PopCap and said, dude, you got to get over here. And I was like, hell yeah, dude, let me out. Like, let's go.
I was probably holding a beer when I called you, like at my
dude.
desk.
And I'm over there going like, I was drinking like a sparkling water in my button-up shirt.
It's like I'm here at a Friday afternoon after work, drinking a beer, paid for by work.
Right.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
And I was like, you could do that, because I remember you telling me that too. You're like, dude, you don't understand, man. You could do whatever here. Like it's crazy right now. And I'm like, what? That exists? Like you could do that and still and make art and like hang out and like
yeah. And people actually respected you and then liked what you were doing. Yeah, it was.
Oh, that's the other thing too. Yeah, I was like, wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So I went and applied for that.
So what was? Do you remember what some of the first stuff you worked on at PopCap?
Well, yeah, it was. I think the first thing I ever worked on was with you. It was the PopWar stuff. That's the very first thing I worked on when I got there. Yeah, because that's how I met you. I met you and Brian, basically the two of you guys, because I remember going to a meeting and you guys were talking about this game PopWar and like what it was, and then you're like, come up with some ideas. Like, okay, like try, because right at that moment it was just like not really the art wasn't really there, right? It was just like placeholder shit. So like I just started drawing stuff.
In the previous recording that we lost, we talked about PopWar a fair bit, so we're probably going to end up covering a little bit of that ground again. But it was interesting because like PopWar was a game that Brian Feet had just gone and sort of coded up on his own with like super basic graphics and just like, and it was kind of like it
was a turn-based strategy.
Yeah, it was like a turn-based strategy game, kind of like super boiled down PopCap casual version of Risk, except your units were like rock, paper, scissors, except they weren't rock, paper.
Steve's locked.
No, we lost him.
Oh,
there he is.
No, he's back. He's back.
Hold on, you just cut out for like 3 seconds, Steve.
Oh, did I?
Mm-hmm.
Sorry. Okay. So to repeat, it was like a kind of a boiled down casual game version of Risk, where you just have like 3 units and each one has a rock, paper, scissors kind of, advantage against one and disadvantage against the other. And that was it. And it was just a turn-based thing. And Brian dropped it and everyone was playing it. And we were like, this is awesome. Let's carry it forward and start developing it. And it was such a weird thing because like it consumed, Rich, you and my, time for at least a year or longer.
Yeah. for sure.
Me as well. I made all the maps for it, and I did the I
I
did
didn't
the
know that.
music for it, and I did all the
You
sound
did?
effects
No,
for it.
that's
I
the thing. Is,
did.
I
I didn't know
remember.
that. That's crazy. I had no
I
Yeah,
idea.
remember
yeah.
QA
Me and
being like
Brian
half the
were
development.
PopWar for a while until it
Right.
became something more.
Rad.
Well, and one of the craziest things about it was that like everybody liked it and played it and had a good time, but almost immediately there was like, okay, well, this Pop War theme is not right. It's too aggressive, right?
War,
So
man,
we
that
have to
sucks.
change it.
I know, right?
But
And
that's
so
kind
it
of
became, go ahead.
that's like a fundamental problem, though, right? It's like you've got a studio full of gamers, and you're making games for what we're perceiving to be grandmas. So,
No,
like,
yeah, that's true.
if
Yeah,
we're
yeah,
enjoying it, then like the producery types were like, well, that's probably not right. I mean,
yeah. I know.
yeah, which
So
I understand that. I get it.
Grandma's gonna hate this.
Right?
and it got
Yeah, it's like
transformed into Prince of Toys, right? So now it was like, oh, it's not war, it's like a fun toy game. That's where you came on, and now you were like making all the different units. So instead of them being
Yeah,
artillery, cavalry, archers, it was like toy bears, like tiny
yeah,
robots, wooden.
yeah. It was stuffies, wooden toys, and robots.
And we started to which was just I was like, okay, that's awesome. And I was like developing
It started to look a lot better,
the
that's for sure.
story. I actually have found the text file of the entire story. Like,
Whoa, that's
you
sick.
know, Tutorial Island and like Mr. Bangers and Box Island and Lord James Boxington and
Oh man, it's so rad, dude. I just
I
started
just
making the
like
maps.
physical
The maps are so
violence,
fun.
but you leave me no
dude,
choice.
I still like drawing maps, and then
Sally Bragg.
all the maps for those old casual games were also hype. I love that shit.
And
But dude, those maps were sick. Go ahead.
well, and
Sorry.
Prince of Toys, I think it's almost probably worth doing maybe a whole Prince of Toys episode, just because there's so much about video game development that kind of gets brought to light when you look at that one, because it's like, oh, this is like a fun core mechanic, and then almost immediately decisions start being made about what it should be, and any one of those decisions you can justify, and yet you look back up 12 months later and you go like, what happened? How did this game go into a ditch and lose
I
its way?
know. I know, man.
um Even though everything that we were doing felt good and it's like, oh, this is going to be fun. I was having a ball writing this story and coming up with these different bad guys, but there were things like, well, you're playing through levels and you're kind of, and each time you beat a level, you get like a new unit or you upgrade your units, but it's like, well, you can't really upgrade units in a rock, paper, scissors
Yeah, I know.
situation. You can't like get a scissor strong enough that it defeats a rock.
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh, right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's a
I know.
terrible idea.
There was that weird problem with it that it always felt like that too. Like even playing it and stuff, I was like, there's something's not quite right.
You know,
and
But
it fell into the tutorial trap, especially
That's what
of
I
like
remember it killing it.
everyone going,
Yeah.
oh, well, we have to treat, this, as you said, Matt, like it's just your grandma playing. She's never played a video game before. She
yeah.
has no idea what a turn-based game
And
is.
also, it's funny because we always knew like, gamers will not read under any circumstances. Like upon pain of
they
death.
are click,
If
click,
you're
click,
like,
click.
Yeah.
dude,
Next,
they
next,
won't.
gone.
So if you're like, if your
Game.
game can only be fixed relying on somebody reading a sentence, it's over. Just cancel it. It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah. And that's what happened, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
and as we, whereas we, we'll end, we'll probably, yeah, like the Plants vs. Zombies sort of insight of George Fan. We're not going to use this as a segue to talk about Plants vs. Zombies. We've got plenty of that, but just
Yeah.
is one of his insights is really all about like if you're delivering instructions to the player, it's like 5 words, like 8 at absolute most, and that's it. It's like click on the sun.
Well,
Plant
way better
the plant.
demonstrated than explained. If you can,
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man, totally.
And
that ended up being a problem, and I remember almost like a PTSD about like, oh, we're gonna work on the tutorial stuff now, and like, is this where we kill the game? And
the answer is
I
yeah,
remember being
like-
like early builds of PVZ every once in a while be like, hey Isaac, give the tutorial a run through today. And so for a long time, my only experience with PVZ was the opening tutorial of it. And I was like, I don't know if this game, I don't know. Like,
It was
I
It's
wasn't
such
sure
a
how
weird
this isn't
thing.
really fun, you know. It's a tutorial. I'm like, okay, but like I need to get into more of the game and
Like people putting themselves into the headspace of someone who didn't know how to play a game, even though they did know how to play the game, but sort of going, well, I'm going to pretend that I don't understand this, and I'm pretending so hard that it doesn't matter what happens anymore in the game because I've just like it's yeah, it was
this is gonna like get ahead of ourselves here, but it makes me think when we were doing games later. You might have talked about this in the Pig Up episode, which I haven't watched, but there was a time where, kind of going back to what I was talking about with my focus group testing days, and like with the two or the one-way mirrors. It's like we would pay a company that would have noobs come in and play our prototypes, and we would record their screen, and I believe their actual faces too. And I can't remember what the name of that company
so they're like,
was, but
oh.
we would get like this
Now look at that
metadata
reaction.
feedback from people playing it. You remember what was that called, Steve? It was a company that we outsourced for that.
Yeah. It was like testing.com or
It
something
was like
Yeah.
it was
ridiculous.
like yeah,
Yeah.
That's what it
testing.org or
was
something
called.
totally.
It was
Probably.
Yeah,
literally something like that.
and
Yeah.
it was so crazy because some of the stuff feedback you would get, like a lot of it was like, well, how many people make it past the first jump? How many people play past the first level? How many people?
Oh
But then
wow.
it was like they were actually getting things from the camera, like where are their eyes looking? Are they
Hmm.
looking to the top left for their time
Oh
left?
what?
And then we got shit where they were playing because they were fucking old weirdos. As an old weirdo, I can say
What?
that.
Yeah, they're
Come
like,
on, no hate here. I'm just saying, but like they were playing a game that was like 14 100 resolution, except they were playing it on an 800 by 600 display, you know, with accessibility options from Windows selected. So they would play a level or two of Pig Up where they couldn't even see a score, a menu, options. They couldn't see
yeah, we
shit.
get the
And they,
stuff
yeah,
back.
Oh
Like, I don't know what I'm
wow.
doing here. And it's
Oh
like,
like
oh
how
God.
is that even happening? Right? Yeah.
dude,
Yep.
what? Wow, that's
Anyway, that's a
wild.
crazy segue into the future of game development.
That's
That this is
that
like 10 years after what we are just talking about now, but yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
still the same kind of effect though. Just like trying to like casual games have that weird gray area where you have to like make it work for people that might not even have ever played a video game before. Like
Man.
casual means it's for the real the simpletons to come in and play it and have a good time, and who aren't used to anything like that.
That's
Yeah.
really what
Oh
made the
dude,
magic happen, though.
I have a gnarly like story. Well, it
Yes.
has no. Well, no, it has to do with Prince of Toys, and people are gonna cringe when I say this, but like if you're an animator, you're gonna be like, oh, uh, to do Prince of Toys, like to animate the little characters, even their small animations or whatever. All I used was Photoshop and that. Remember they had that little animation tool where you can
Image
see like the
ready.
yeah, image ready. You can see like and you could tweak the amount of seconds between each panel.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
what I would do though, this is like no one should ever do this ever. But I had the original piece of art, right? Cut up into little pieces like legs, arm stuff. Well, actually, no, they weren't even cut up. They were just there. And then I go to the next panel and I would just lasso tool and go, and
Oh,
then
ow.
fill it back in with like more pixels,
Yeah.
and then like next. So every time you translate that, it gets worse and worse looking,
Just
right?
a little fuzzier and a little
Because it gets a little
fuzzier.
more fuzzy every time, and so they have to go in and like do like masks and shit to like try to like make it clean. And I just remember be like, oh, this is horrible.
It's
Dude,
like
like,
it's like onion skinning, except it's not. It's like
yeah, it was like
garlic
the worst
skinning or
ever,
something.
dude.
I don't know.
Is it and did it export as a GIF or what did it come out as?
I can't even
So
remember.
yeah,
Like,
there's way back in the day in Photoshop. Like you've got your toolbar on the side. It's like a tall kind of rectangle. On the bottom, there used to be this little thing that had the Adobe icon and then a little arrow going over to I think it was a magnifying glass. Anyway, that would prompt uh, Adobe to open Image Ready, which is another just like program that was not Photoshop, but very much alike it, and it was just made to make very simple animated things, and
oh,
that was the deal. It
Well,
was
because we
super
talked about
super
it
low res,
yeah, it was
last
super
ultra
time.
rough.
archaic.
Yeah,
Like the tools that are just like incredibly primitive by today's standards, where you'd have to like export out a JPEG, like like an animation would be a strip of JPEGs with a
That's
bunch of
what it would
like
ultimately
GIF
extrude. Yeah, 100%.
masks because you couldn't
Yeah.
export things that had transparency, right?
Yeah.
Like
So crazy.
That was the biggest
Yeah.
shift, was going from making cards, and we made a video game at Interactive, but that was with D-Paint, and there was a very limited,
D-Paint.
number of colors and resolution and frames and everything was very restricted. So then when I got hooked up with the Sprout guys, and they were like, make some video game graphics, what's the color depth? And they're like, it's a PNG, bro.
You're like, what?
If you can draw it on a Photoshop layer, then it's a video game graphic. And I'm like, well, I can literally draw anything on a Photoshop layer. So I think we're going. That's why it was so easy. And I remember
set free.
Yeah, talking
Dude,
about that with
seriously.
Rich too, just being like, man, this is
Yeah, when he told me that too, that was the other thing.
Like,
yeah.
this is it. Like, all we
Like,
got to do is
PopCap
be able
does
to
what?
draw.
Like, you can do what?
Well, and that's one thing that Sprout was doing better. I think I talked about that before, but like at Sprout, Joe is making tools because he likes making tools, and tools are awesome. If you're doing a very small company, and maybe it doesn't make a lot of sense to have a tools developer, but especially
Dude,
now,
no, it's
you
awesome.
can just use everything off the shelf, right? You can use like Godot or Graphic Scale or Pixalia. There's a 40 million, awesome software options and tool options for free. But then it was like, how am I going to get this graphic into this deal? We were using, I think it was HTML5 or XML was what we were doing on Pizza Frenzy. And it was like, what are these graphics going into there? And it's like, oh, they need basically like PopCap still needed when we got bought. They needed
XYZ coordinates.
They needed those, but they needed a JPEG and a GIF mask for alpha.
Yeah.
And Joe was like, well, I could just make a tool that'll do that. And it was not optimized. And it did take a second to compile, but it took 400 seconds less than it took me to do it. Right. So,
dude, having a tools guy was awesome, man. Like,
absolutely the best.
Todd was like that too when we worked at PVZ.
Oh man, the best. Yeah.
He came up with so much cool shit.
And they would ask you, like,
what?
how do you do it? Like, how can I work what you do in? Oh man.
He was super in on
artists
that stuff.
these days will never know how cool that was.
And this is Joe man. You're talking about did this?
For him, Joe. For me, it was Todd.
Yeah, like when engineers do things to make like artists' lives easier,
and they like to do
but their own lives easier, right?
It's for sure.
When I would come back to him, I'm like, dude, you just saved me 1,000,000 hours, and look at how cool. He's like, I know, right? And we high fived. It was awesome. Like he was winning.
Yeah, so sick.
At PopCap early on, Brian Feet was the tools guy. So one of the founders was the tools guy.
Oh, okay.
And he's the one who created Burrito, which was our version of Slack, basically.
Yeah.
And at the same time, when I first got in, he had also created Chalupa, which was where you logged all your time and nobody used it. It's like, hey, everybody, log the time you're using. Everyone's like, cool tool. And then the last tool I know he made that I actually used a lot when I was testing was like a web tool for like clearing caches and creating a web environment or something. But it was for throttling your connectivity. But it was called Web Fatty. That was my favorite. Went from Chalupa to Web Fatty. Like, why did these go mainstream, man? These are awesome.
Like, I thought he made his own operating system after PopCap.
Beefy, yeah, he made Beefy, and that's still out there in the world.
Dude, the names are rad.
Yeah. Brian's he knows how to name stuff.
They're good people to be around.
Yeah. You know what's crazy is you can go to the Wayback Machine and you can still download a version of the PopCap framework.
I believe that. Yeah, because
if you want people out there, if you want to make a PopCap game, you can still do it.
Dude, that was a thing.
Wild.
This is in the .com era is when people were like would go to websites. The framework was available from the PopCap website.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's how
as like a donation
Jim
to the games community is basically to say, here's our framework. Anybody
of those games.
Yeah.
Like Venice, I think, was a guy that got the framework just off the website.
Yeah,
which is totally fucking
wild. To just say like, here's a bunch of essentially prepackaged, like, I don't even know exactly how the framework worked, but it was just like, here's something that kind of allows you to have a main menu and a bunch of widgets and tools and like buttons and just like the framework for making and then releasing a casual game, right? Or any kind of game, really. Under these, but it's just like you don't have to use it, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you wanted to make a game called like Fuckable Terrorist, you could probably make it with that.
You could,
dude.
Oh, there's a story. There's a story.
Hold on a second.
Story you talking about? I just said that randomly. Those are just two unlinked. All right, we're gonna get
Just two random words that go together. I don't know.
I don't know. You know, one day, a founder of the company used our website to host an image of a T-shirt he wanted to sell that had a picture of Osama bin Laden. It said "fuckable terrorist" on it, and so you could go to popcap.com that day and go to the merch page, and that's what would show up in front of you.
It showed up there.
Yeah. And as soon as some of the other folks around the office caught wind of it, it came immediately down, and there were intense communications had that I was not privy to, but that was a good one. I think I still have a screenshot of it around somewhere.
Holy crap.
Wild West. I can't believe my brain just shot that neuron out.
That was beautiful.
Thought about that in a long, long time. But yeah, that's how wild the website used to be before everything went through a Meta or Instagram like portal.
Mm-hmm.
It was you could just type something in that bar up there and then wow, who knew?
Dude, oh man. Speaking of t-shirts, my favorite t-shirt ever from PopCap was Free Ball.
Yeah.
The one that you made, Steve.
Free Ball.
For Peggle. Yeah, dude.
That is the one.
And then it had all kinds of controversy.
Which
Free Ball.
Well, it started with we wanted it to be pink, and people were like, I'm not gonna wear a pink shirt. Brr.
And then it was such a bizarre mini controversy that for my part I was completely blindsided by, because
I know you were.
It was like, hey, on Burrito, we talked about Burrito in the previous thing, but it's just like it was, and we'll probably end up talking about it again, but Burrito was like our Slack messaging file transfer system within the company. And so for like about a month it'd be like, hey, we need a t-shirt design, and I was on the thing, okay, it's going to be this, what do you guys think? Anybody could go onto Burrito, and it just sat there, and people said, yeah, I like this or that or whatever. It was ready to go. We actually had the shirts printed, and then somebody there freaked out because she thought that this was like some kind of free ball, like commando, like not wearing underwear thing. And I got hauled into like Dave Roberts' office and then basically sort of kind of like, what is this? Is this supposed to be some kind of dirty joke? And I'm like, what are you talking about?
Can I just for a pause for 1 second? Can we just like admire the irony of like you're at a video game company and very possibly one of the first 5 things any kind of video game literally ever said was free ball. Like it's just like an elemental building block of video games itself.
I know, right?
Like
explain this. The first pinball game came out.
Like,
I know, right?
A video game term.
I mean, I knew I was having fun making that, and then saying, "Let's get pink shirts because it'd be hilarious." It's Bjorn, the unicorn, and the rainbows and all. Yeah. But it was like, have you played Peggle? Right? I mean, like Peggle it goes like free ball is like a very core part of the game here.
Have you played the game that we made?
Well, but the more to the point, so that was my take. I was like, A, it's in the game, and B, I don't even know what you're talking about. Like, I've never heard this expression that whoever is so upset about. Yeah,
you never heard free balling though?
I had not. I mean, maybe it's just like growing up in Canada, we have different kind of dirty schoolyard stuff. But I was just like, I don't even know what you guys.
What do you call not wearing underwear in Canada?
Pardon?
Yeah, what do they call it there?
Yeah, I don't even remember.
No.
I was too sophisticated to run in those kinds of schoolyards. We didn't make those sorts of jokes. We were too busy quoting Monty Python.
Or nobody had balls.
I'm glad that we finally got a couple of those stories in. There's a couple tasty ones there.
Okay, well, this has been a great part 1. We've talked a lot about like how you guys, got your start and moved through the video game business and got into PopCap. So we ask all of our listeners now to stay tuned. Next week, we're going to be bringing you part 2 of this interview, where we get hard into these guys and Plants vs. Zombies. And the real nitty gritty. So it's going to be this is where the blades and the teeth really are going to come out in part 2.
It's so intense.
Yes.
So stay tuned for that.
Nice.
Isaac, anything you want to add? Folks, like, subscribe, hammer that tell your mom button.
Yeah. I was going to say, definitely, make sure to like and subscribe, but also, if you've got any awesome image ready stories, put them in the comments.
Well, yeah,
There's
definitely.
gonna be
Share the
somebody out there
pixel
as old as
pain.
me. Yeah. It remembers.
Yeah. No, I'm just
I got one
excited
of them.
to see these guys. We all want to get in the same room for real together. I think we've been talking about taking a train down to
Hell
visit
yeah, dude.
Steve
It's
in
been on my
LA.
mind for a
So
while. I want to do it.
yeah. So
I hate
this
airports,
is
but
hopefully this is fun to watch because it's a lot of fun for us to sit here and hang out with each other. So
I'm having fun.
All right.
totally.
Well, with that, this has been another exciting episode of the unofficial PopCap PopCast. Yeah!
nice one.
PopCap!